So what on earth could a high-stakes trader possibly have in common with a solitary fisherman? Well, today we're going to dig into that. And trust me, the connection is pretty fascinating and, honestly, kind of surprising. Let's get right into it. It really all comes down to this one question. What's the hidden wisdom that someone who works with nets and tides has that could literally be a game changer for someone navigating charts and algorithms? The answer, well, it's way more profound than you might think.
So yeah, let's explore this unlikely analogy. I mean, at first glance, these two worlds seem like they're planets apart, right? But we're about to see how they are actually governed by the exact same fundamental rules.
Okay, so here's the absolute core of the challenge for both of them. The fisherman doesn't control the ocean. And guess what? The trader doesn't control the market. They are both operating inside this massive, powerful, unpredictable environment. They have to react. They absolutely cannot dictate what happens. And that right there, that's the bedrock of this whole thing. Constant uncertainty. For both of them, it's not just some small part of the job, it is the job. You see, success isn't about getting rid of the uncertainty, because you can't. It's all about learning how to operate skillfully right in the middle of it.
So this brings us to a really key area, the mindset game. Because when you can't control the outside world, the only thing you can control is your own internal one. Just think about the power of patience for a minute. A novice fisherman, they're just casting their line anywhere, constantly, hoping for a bite. And a novice trader, they're clicking buy and sell on every tiny little price movement. But the pros in both fields, they get it. They understand that most of the time, the right action is no action at all. It's about waiting patiently for that high probability moment to show up. You know, it's such a counterintuitive idea, especially in a world that's always telling us to be busy. But in these environments where uncertainty is the name of the game, constant action just leads to unforced errors. The goal isn't to be active, it's to be effective. So what happens when you wait patiently, you do everything right, and you still fail? The fisherman comes home with an empty boat, the trader has to take a loss. This, right here, is where emotional control becomes your superpower. You just have to accept that not every valid, well-thought-out attempt is going to be rewarded. That's just part of the game. So, to wrap up the mindset game, the crucial points are these. You have to learn to embrace uncertainty, not try to fight it. You've got to practice patience like it's a strategic tool. And you absolutely must get a handle on your emotions, learning to separate the quality of your decision from whatever the immediate outcome is. Okay, so a strong mindset is the foundation, for sure. But it's pretty much useless without a solid process to back it up. This is where we start to separate real skill from just acting on impulse. I love this iceberg analogy because it's just so perfect. It shows you that the huge majority of the work happens before you ever take action. For the fisherman, it's studying the maps, checking the weather, knowing the tides. For the trader, it's doing the research, backtesting a strategy. The actual cast of the line or the click of the mouse, that's just the final, tiny step of a much, much larger process of preparation. Exactly. That thing we all see, the fish getting pulled into the boat, or the profit hitting the account, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real, crucial work is that invisible foundation of preparation that made the whole thing possible in the first place. So, how does the skill actually show up? Well, first, it's about understanding that success here isn't random. Second, it's about judgment. Look, tools are helpful, but they're not a crunch. A fish finder doesn't catch the fish, and a chart indicator doesn't make the trade. And finally, it all comes down to pattern recognition, that almost intuitive sense that's built over thousands of hours of what a high-probability setup feels like. So, to quickly sum up this whole idea of process, success is absolutely rooted in preparation. It demands that you act with skill, not just on a whim, and it requires you to trust your own developed judgment way more than any single tool or indicator. All right, so having the right mindset and a solid process is great for one day, maybe even a good week. But to last for years or even decades, you need a philosophy for survival. You need to adopt the long-term view. And this all starts with rigorous risk management. I mean, think about it. A fisherman who just sails right into a storm isn't going to be fishing for very long. And a trader who bets the entire farm on one single idea, they won't be trading for long either. Both of them have to prioritize survival above everything else, protecting their core asset, whether that's their boat or their capital. And really, the stakes could not be higher. You can have 100 successful days, but one catastrophic mistake, driven by ego or just carelessness, can literally erase everything.
That's why survival is the absolute, non-negotiable foundation of all long-term success.
This is exactly why consistency will always trump luck. Anybody can get lucky once, catch that one trophy fish or hit that one home run trade, but a true professional isn't defined by that. They're defined by their ability to produce results over and over and over again through a repeatable process, not by a single, flashy, isolated win.
So, the pillars for a real long-term philosophy are simple, but they're incredibly powerful. Manage your risk relentlessly. Stay humble, because believe me, both the market and the sea have a way of punishing ego. And finally, focus on building consistency, because that is the true mark of a professional.
So we've looked at mindset, we've looked at process, and we've talked about philosophy. But what does all of this really boil down to? What's the one core insight that just ties this entire analogy together?
Well, on the surface, fishing looks like it's about the act of catching fish. But that's not what the expert is actually doing. The expert is focused on one thing: reading the conditions. The tide, the wind, the water temperature, the time of day.
And in the exact same way, trading looks like it's about buying and selling, but the expert trader isn't just clicking buttons. They are laser-focused on one thing: reading probability. They're constantly assessing the odds and only acting when the conditions are heavily stacked in their favor.
So, the crucial point I want to leave you with is this, and honestly, it applies to so much more than just fishing or trading. In whatever you do, whatever your high-stakes world is, are you just focused on the surface-level action? Are you just randomly casting your line and hoping for the best? Or are you taking the time to master your craft, to patiently learn how to read the underlying conditions? That, right there, is the question that separates the amateur from the pro.